Welcome to Global Discovery, a channel where music, culture, and global trends meet. Here, we explore the stories behind the artists, the industry strategies behind the charts, and the cultural movements shaping the world of music. From the rise of niche genres to the breakthroughs that challenge the global industry, we break down the moments that matter. Today's story is about how SB19 just challenged one of the music industry's quietest rules, the so-called live album curse. And what happened next might surprise the entire industry. Imagine hearing that most live albums are almost destined to fail. Not because the artists lack talent and not because the performances are weak, but because the music industry itself has quietly decided that live albums no longer hold real importance. Yet one Filipino group just broke that belief. SB19 didn't simply release a live album. They didn't just appear on charts or trend online. They shattered the so-called live album curse, and the numbers clearly support it. Today, we're examining how SB19 achieved something even global superstars struggle to pull off. Why this moment goes far beyond chart rankings, and what it means for the future of Ppop and the global music industry. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Starwave as we dive deeper, because this story is far bigger than SB19. Part 1. Understanding the Live Album Curse. Let's begin with the reality the music industry rarely admits. Live albums almost never perform well. Historically, live albums face three major obstacles. First, fans have already heard the songs. Streaming culture encourages listeners to replay polished studio versions rather than raw live performances. Second, playlists rarely favor live tracks. Algorithms on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music usually prioritize clean production, steady audio levels, and radio-friendly sound, which means live tracks are often treated as secondary or non-essential content. Third, record labels frequently treat live albums as side releases. In many cases, they're poorly promoted, released between eras, and used more as filler than as meaningful artistic statements. The numbers reinforce this trend. Across global markets, live albums typically sell about 30 to 70% less than studio albums. Most don't debut high on charts, and many disappear from rankings within just a few days. Even legendary artists struggle with this format. Part 2. Even global icons struggle with live albums. Looking at the data, some of the biggest artists in the world have released live albums and still fail to match their studio success. Many live albums debut outside the top 50. Streaming numbers drop sharply after the first week. Fan interest fades quickly, unless the album is tied to a major tour film. In most cases, live albums mainly exist for dedicated hardcore fans. So when SB19 announced a live album connected to their kickoff concert, industry expectations were simple. It would be something made primarily for the fans, and likely wouldn't move major numbers. But that assumption turned out to be completely wrong. Part 3. When SB19 did differently. SB19 didn't release a typical live album. They released a cultural moment. The key difference is that SB19's live album wasn't built on nostalgia. It was built on narrative. This project wasn't simply a random concert recording, a bonus release, or a throwaway project. It was framed as a milestone, a bold statement, and proof of their growth. Every track felt deliberate. Every performance carried urgency, and each moment contributed to a larger story. Fans clearly felt that connection, but emotion alone doesn't break a so-called curse. Data does. Part 4. The numbers that changed everything. Let's examine what made industry observers pause. First is chart performance. SB19's live album didn't just chart, it competed across several markets. It debuted alongside studio albums, maintained chart presence longer than expected, and even outperformed several newly released projects. For a live album, that's extremely rare. Second is streaming behavior. Most live albums suffer a steep drop after day one, but SB19 showed strong multi-day streaming stability. Repeat listens signaled strong algorithm engagement, and playlist traction was driven largely by fan demand. That tells platforms one thing: listeners aren't just sampling the album, they're staying. Third is international attention. This wasn't only local success. The album sparked media mentions and reaction content across multiple regions. A live album crossing borders like this is almost unheard of for emerging global acts. Part 5. Why fans didn't treat this like a side project. This is where SB19 made a brilliant move. They made fans feel that if you weren't present at the event, the album was how you experienced it. The kickoff concert wasn't just a show. It marked the start of a new era, a declaration of independence, and a proof of concept moment. The live album became a timestamp, a collective memory, and a badge of pride. Fans didn't stream it casually. They streamed it with purpose, almost as if saying, "You need to hear this to understand why SB19 matters." That kind of mindset is powerful and rare. Part 6. The emotional factor data can't fully measure. The truth about SB19 is that their strength has never been only vocals or choreography. It's context. Fans know the years of struggle, the risks they took, the fight for independence, and the pressure of representing Ppop on a global stage. So when fans hear strained vocals or crowd screams, they don't hear flaws. They hear proof. That emotional connection translates directly into higher completion rates, repeat streams, and word-of-mouth promotion. Part 7. Why this moment is bigger than SB19. This isn't just a victory for one group. SB19's success sends a signal to the entire industry that live albums can succeed if they are treated seriously. It challenges three long-held beliefs: that live albums can't generate revenue, that only studio perfection sells, and that non-Western artists can't redefine music formats. SB19 didn't simply break a curse. They exposed an industry habit built on complacency. Now, other artists, especially across Asia, are paying attention. Part 8. What this means for Ppop's global future. Ppop has often been labeled as emerging, local, or experimental. But moments like this reshape perception. A live album succeeding internationally signals that the audience is global, the demand is real, and the fandom is organized, active, and powerful. SB19 didn't ask for validation. They forced the industry to recognize them. Part 9. The real reason this worked. Here's a truth charts can't measure. SB19 created a live album that felt necessary, not optional, not extra, not filler, but essential. When fans feel that, they show up. They stream, they share, they defend, and they amplify. That's how curses get broken. SB19 didn't simply release a live album. They rewrote expectations for what a live album can be. They proved that raw performances can be powerful, that live recordings can compete, and that Ppop can lead rather than follow. And if this is only the beginning, the industry may want to start paying attention quickly, because SB19 is no longer just breaking curses. They're setting entirely new standards. As the music industry continues to evolve, moments like this remind us that the rules aren't as permanent as they seem. What was once considered a risky or irrelevant format has suddenly become a statement, proving that when artists treat their work with intention and fans rally behind it, even the oldest industry assumptions can collapse. This moment isn't just about one release or one concert. It represents a shift in how audiences connect with music, how artists present their stories, and how global fans can turn a project into something far bigger than the industry expected. If there's one takeaway from this story, it's this. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs happen when someone challenges the quiet rules everyone else simply accepts. And if this really is just the beginning, then the global music industry might want to start paying close attention, because the next discovery might already be happening. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Global Discovery, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story shaping music and culture around the world. Until the next discovery.